Do you hear me, Lara?
It still says mute on the screen.
Sorry, Nico, one moment. Sorry about that.
Councillor Kemps, do you hear me? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, let me know when we're live and we'll start where we are. Okay, thank you. I wish to call to order the special meeting of Council on August 24th at 3:30 p.m. Council would like to acknowledge the Ucluelet thought on whose traditional territories the District of Ucluelet operates. Notice of video recording, audience members and delegates are advised that this proceeding is being broadcast on YouTube and Zoom, which may store data on foreign servers. Are there any late items? Looking for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second by Councillor Kemps. All in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. Mayor's announcements. I want to pass it over to Councillor Hoare.
Just a quick reminder that as we hit the long weekend, the co-op goes to winter hours. So they will be from 9 to 7. They have not determined whether it's going to be Sunday or Monday that we switch, but watch for the signs. So please don't arrive at 7:05 on the day that we switch. And in other news, masks are again mandatory in the store as of tomorrow.
Well, thank you for that. And moving to legislation, building permits for signature circle lots in RU zoning. Mr. Gregg, welcome.
Thank you. If I could just have the slides, I'll give it just a brief overview of our staff report. The as council is given is aware that they've given second reading to OCP amendment bylaw and rezoning bylaws number 1292 and 1293. Those have been referred to a public hearing on September 7th. A bit of background is that we have received 29 building permit applications for some of the affected lands. And let's see if the clicker's working here. No. Could I have the next slide, please? So that this is just an aerial photograph of the signature circle. Council will be familiar with this area of the district. And next slide, please, which is the site plan. And I'll just highlight on maybe the screen behind council here that 29 of the 30 lots are owned by Ani Wind and Sea Holdings. So it's lot 1 through 4. There's a gap as there's separate ownership on lot 5. And then 6 through 30, those lots have we've received building permits for all of those. Next slide, please. And the report provides a bit of an analysis. And essentially I'll run through the analysis that's in the report that of the 29 building permit applications, in a nutshell, none of them appear to comply with the zoning regulations that would be in place for the rural residential RU zone should that bylaw number 1293 be adopted. So council had previously passed a motion to withhold building permits for 30 days, and the recommendation is to pass another motion to withhold building permits for a further 60 days to enable the bylaw process to complete. But in the analysis, essentially on this chart, the orange areas, so these are the lots 1 through 30 listed on the left. The orange areas are highlighting areas that would not comply with that rural residential zoning. So 13 of the lots would have a single family home and either 1 or 2 secondary suites, whereas the zoning would only allow a single family home. So 13 of them wouldn't comply with that secondary suite accessory use. Let's see, none of the lots would comply with the maximum gross floor area because the RU zone amendment would have a maximum of 100 square meters. And this chart on the upper left corner is perhaps clearest. That the red line would be the 100 square meter max of the single family dwelling. There is an additional 100 square meters for total of accessory buildings for garages or greenhouses or sheds or whatnot. So that would be the total floor area. The orange bars are the floor area of roughly of the plans that have been submitted. I think the average is 5,600 square feet. So none of them would comply with the gross floor area. Similarly, none of them would comply with the maximum 3% lot coverage that the RU zone has. And then the 8 waterfront lots along the shoreline that they've submitted plans for. There would be a 30-meter setback from the natural boundary, and again, none of the structures that are on the plans appear to comply with that. So Section 463, as Council is aware of, the Local Government Act provides Council the ability to direct that a building permit could be withheld if it identifies what it considers to be a conflict between a development proposed in the application and an OCP or zoning bylaw under preparation. Could I have the next slide, please? And this is just, there are, of the 29 building permits, essentially there are 3 unique lots, and then the rest are variations on a couple of, floor plans. So I'm just going to just briefly run through 3 of the plans that have been shown. This is one of the unique ones, Lot 1, which is the largest lot. It's sort of in the upper portion of the site towards the north. So it's quite a large house, 13 bedrooms in total. There's sort of an L shape. This is connected by a breezeway, but it appears to be sort of an L shape, and then this basically separate structure, but it's connected by a breezeway along the driveway here. It would have a garage on one end, 8 bedrooms in this wing, 5 bedrooms in the main part, and then this is a garage with a secondary suite over top of it. It's also indicating, like, this structure, this would be about a 12-foot retaining wall to level out this terrace where there's a pool and hot tub, and about an 8 or 9 foot wall to level out the area for a tennis court. So that would be a fairly significant amount of earthworks in those structures, and we don't have all the details on the structure of those retaining walls or the grading that would be necessary. But just on, as we said, we haven't gone into the detail, as the report identifies on the building code and some of those more detailed issues, but really have looked at the zoning and that this would exceed what would be permitted. This is a unique lot because it's the largest of the lots, and most of them are a little smaller than this. But can I have the next slide, please? So this is lot 3. So there's a number of lots that have variations on this, which would be essentially I think it's a 4,600 square foot. No, yeah, over 4,600 square foot house plus garage and suite, and there's a second suite that's within the house. So again, fairly substantial home that's being proposed, and exceeding the gross floor area and not meeting those setbacks from the natural boundary. Next slide, please. And then this on the upper, not waterfront lots, but along the sort of upper slope on the east side of the signature circle are a number of houses that have, really they're all variations on the same house. They refer to them as type E and type F. And again, like 4-bedroom home, garage underneath, and really the difference between the E and the F is that I think there's one corner where it's an outdoor deck as opposed to an enclosed room in that area. So from our analysis, it appears clear that the proposed buildings would not comply with the OCP policy and RU zoning designation were those bylaws number 1292 and 1293 adopted. So if Council directs that permits be withheld for a further 60 days, then if the local government does not adopt the OCP or zoning bylaw, then the owners of the land for which a building permit was withheld would be entitled to compensation for damages arising from the withholding of the building permit. Council could also, within the 60-day period, grant the permits, but impose conditions in the permit that would be in the public interest, having regard to the plan or bylaw that's under preparation. As recommended in the report, staff are recommending that the 29 building permit applications would not comply with the direction that Council has signified in the OCP policy to designate the signature circle lots for low-density rural residential development. At this point, and staff are recommending that Council consider a resolution to withhold building permits for a further 60 days for these signature circle lots to enable time for Council to consider public input and determine whether it will adopt the official community plan amendment bylaw number 1292 and the zoning amendment bylaw number 1293. If there are any questions, I can attempt to answer them, and I believe the representatives from ONI, who are the applicants for the 29 building permits, were going to attend and may wish to speak via Zoom.
Okay, well, I'll pass it off to, is it Rob that's on?
Yes, Mr. Vrooman is on the line.
Okay, well, welcome him.
Go ahead, Mr. Vrooman.
Just checking. Can everyone hear me?
We can't see him. Do you mind changing the screen for us?
Want to join as a panelist, I guess.
Yeah, you should be able to use your video now, sir.
And turn the video on. Can everybody see and hear me now?
There you are. How you doing?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Good, good.
That's good. Okay, well, I will keep this brief as I get the sense this is probably fairly procedural based on the meeting we had last week. But just, I don't think it should be any surprise that these building permits don't conform with the rural zoning. As I hope everyone could appreciate that these lots with the rural zoning attached to them, where we can only build 1,076 square foot structure on them, is a substantial devaluation in the land from what we purchased and what we took over on the site. So, I guess we're discouraged to see where this is going. I think we've had some good conversations, and we're certainly willing to have more conversations. I fear that the discussion is getting focused on these 30 single family lots, and that's coming at the detriment of planning 330 acres on the rest of the wind and sea lands. And I guess the only point I'll reiterate again to Mayor and all of the councillors is that I'll put forth that you have a very willing and capable potential partner here in the Ani Group. And I think we could do a lot on these lands in terms of planning and addressing housing needs. But I'll restate again, I do fear we're going down a path that's is detrimental to that, and one where both sides are potentially spending a lot of money on legal fees, and the outcome is not something that's going to work in anyone's favor, and certainly not in the community's benefit of addressing housing needs. So, I urge the mayor and council, we're here, we're willing to discuss and hope there's a better path moving forward. And, I guess we'll leave it at that. As I said before, we may not always agree, but we're here and willing to discuss and see if there isn't a better path forward. So with that, I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Gregg from any of the councillors? No? Okay. Are you good? Okay. Okay, well, we do have one recommendation here from staff. Anybody would like to move that recommendation?
I'll do it since I'm here.
Thanks.
I will move that pursuant to Section 463 of the Local Government Act, Council direct that building permits be withheld in relation to each of the building permit applications submitted on July 29th, 2021, in relation to the Signature Circle properties, strata lots 1 to 4 and 6 to 30, district lots 471, 472, and 473, Clyquot Land District, strata plan VIS 6504, for a further period of 60 days as the development proposed in the building permit applications exceeds the maximum permitted building size, do not comply with the permitted uses and or encroach within the minimum setbacks under the District of Ucluelet Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1293/2021, and the use and density of the lots would not comply with the low density rural residential designation under the District of Ucluelet Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1292/2021, both of which bylaws are currently under consideration by council.
And I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And I'm just confirming there is no closed section, is there? Session? None today. Okay, thank you. Okay, so this meeting today is adjourned. Thank you for those attending.